Yeah, hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Ali, I'm a game designer, and I wanted to talk to you about the implicit canon of video games. But before I delve deeper into this topic, I quickly wanted to talk about what I mean when I use the word canon, because it has many different definitions, but there's one that I mean specifically, and it's this one. A sanctioned or accepted group or body of related works. So, in other words, it's a list of the most important or influential or definitive works in whatever media you are talking about. And so this example talks about literature, right? So, for example, if you want to know what makes Western literature up, right? It's recommended that you read the books that are listed in the Western literary canon. And those are just a select few books that are on this list. And they are determined by an elite group of scholars and critics. Nice. And something like that doesn't exist yet for video games, like not in an official capacity. But there is something that I call an implicit canon of video games. And so here's a small selection of these games, right? It's the type of games that keep being referenced over and over again. It's the type of games that have features that are still strongly linked to this. New games keep being compared to these games over and over again, right? And right, they are important and they are influential and they have significantly shaped the video game landscape that we see today. But because they are so important, there's also this assumption that surely everyone must have played them, right? And that assumption is wrong. There are many reasons why someone didn't play these games, right? Maybe they didn't have access to them. Maybe they didn't appeal to them, right? They cater to a very specific demographic. If you weren't part of that demographic, then maybe you weren't even sure if they were for you in the first place. Maybe they were unapproachable or even inaccessible. Or maybe you did try playing these games and they were just not fun. And so the problem arises when the industry around you keeps talking about these games over and over again. And they're such a significant part of the conversation that because you haven't played these games, you cannot take part in the same conversation, right? And you start to feel like you have missed out and that you have a lot of catching up to do simply because you have played different games in your youth. And that's how I felt when I started working as a game designer in this industry. And what I did was that I sat down and I said, okay, I'm going to have a closer look at the games. I want to understand how they work, what pieces they are made up of, and what makes them so special. And what I've realized very quickly is the following. That once you start to dissect these games, once you start to peel away the layer of aesthetic, and you get to the bones of the system, I saw that I do in fact recognize these systems. I do in fact recognize the mechanics. But I recognize them from other games that I have played, right? Sometimes there's a mechanic, but the context around it is completely different. Or other times, like in this example, the mechanic is different, but the structure of the game, the flow of the game, the progression of the game is one and the same. And so what I want to tell you is this. If you also feel discouraged by this implicit canon of video games, all you need to do is just look a bit closer. Like, don't be intimidated by the front they present to you. Just peek behind the curtain. And you'll probably also recognize the pieces that these games are made out of. But you recognize them from games that you have chosen to play. You probably know more than you think you do, and you're also able to be part of the conversation. Thank you.